Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, let's see, what are we, the 6th day of June, 2022. Well, we have had rain all weekend long here, and a lot of rain. Last year, I don't think we got any rain at all, virtually. I mean, we used to, years ago, we would have lots and lots of thunderstorms in August and stuff like that. But for whatever reason, June has turned out to be a crappy month so far. The last part of May I mean, we had nice days, but we haven't had the heat that we usually get. And I realize it's only the 6th and anything could happen, but I don't know. I'm not hopeful. We're still bringing our tomatoes and we haven't gotten them in the ground yet. I did plant some in a couple of pots on the deck, but out where we're supposed to plant them, we haven't done that yet. But the broccoli's loving it, and so I don't know. The cabbage is loving it. Well, that's all right. But it's supposed to be down to like 39 tonight, and I thought we were over with that, but I don't know. It's just irritating. You think you get into a momentum and, it's just not there. So anyhow, but I hope you guys had a good weekend, and, we'll see what the week has to bring us here. We'll start today here with the esoteric influences. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back and join our little tarot and rune family. But I always start out now with the esoteric influences for today, and then I'll do the same for Monday, or for Thursday rather. And that comes from the post, the esoteric influences for the week, that's up on the blog. If you want to see the whole thing, you can go over there. It's imsteppingaside.com is the web address. Stepping Aside is the name of the website. And if you forget, just hit show more under the video and scroll down past the little thing I have, the description of what I do here, and then you'll see some links and you'll see it there. It also went out in the newsletter that went out on Saturday. Everything I post for the week, the weekly stuff, goes out on Saturday nights, and so there'll be the weekly numerology, the esoteric influences. There's a post called the Ascendant, Rays, Nodes, and Aspects Influencing the Week. And then there's the daily correspondences for work and magic. And so let's look at today's esoteric influences, though. So since it's the 6th, we have a 6 numerology for the day itself. That's not the life path. It's just the day. So harmony, empathy, comfort, assistance, guidance is part of the whole numerology of 6. Fehu is the as above side today of the rune for today from the Elder Futhark, meaning cattle, wealth, transaction, life force. It's the sending rune. It sends energy, growth, success, abundance. So it's a very positive rune. Caput Draconis now is the Geomancy rune, the below side of As Above, So Below. And that means the dragon's head, or Caput Draconis means the dragon's head, new beginnings, the entrance, the threshold, the upper kingdom. So it also represents the north node of the moon, whereas Cauda Draconis would represent the south node and karma and all of that, past life experience, stuff like that. The sun's in Gemini, the moon is in Virgo, and the planetary governance for those working magic today is the moon. So empathic awareness may increase over this period, and it may express itself within your body as a stress-based response. Avoid overreaction and look within to understand whether it's the effect of your own stress you're experiencing or if the energy belongs to someone else. Either way, this is life force energy you're experiencing that may be informing a new perspective. A more joyful inner flow can be experienced as you understand the greater message behind what you're experiencing, especially if the emotions you're feeling are coming from outside yourself. It's natural to seek out others with empathic awareness to connect and feel at one with a soul who is receptive and open. On the other hand, so do energies that are vampiric in nature and use the experience to feed off your willingness to connect. Irrespective of the nature of the energy, it can result in a stress response within you, so take time to visualize the energetic channels coming in and intend for them to dissolve so that you can be certain if the stress you're feeling is actually your own, and if so, then take steps to deal with it. Remember that visualizing a bubble of light surrounding you can help shield you from energetic intrusions. That's always just so much fun, isn't it, when that happens? Oh. Anyhow, let's move this aside here, and we'll just in case. Lately, we've been linking the reading to the esoteric influences for the day, so that's been kind of interesting. But let's go ahead and take a rune here. The runes that I reference in the esoteric influences are just for that post. The ones I do it again here for the reading itself, and they act as basically the significators, if you will, for the reading. So sort of sets the overall tone for what's going on. My Alexa's coming on out there in the living room. Wonder what that's about. Maybe there's notifications, but I hear the little sound. We have I was. Now, I was is an as above, so below rune. It's made of laguz, upwards and downwards. It's all forward, though, so it's cyclical. I was is the connection between opposites, or it's the link between realms, so the link between, it's spirit flowing into, in a circular fashion, our experiences, basically. I don't want to necessarily say the other side is ego. It could be, but I was is just more of a higher self rune. So I've kind of gone back and forth on how I see that. I think that how spirit flows through our life really is more what this is about, instead of trying to link ego to it. So we'll just leave it at that. Let's take a look. We're going to throw down the 4 elemental runes. God, I was going through a period where I was saying the 3, but clearly it's 4. I don't know. Because they go in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. So I don't know where I was getting 3. But I did it several times. It reminds me of when we were teaching martial arts, and my husband, who was the head instructor, he would say things when students would they would go and they would keep doing the same thing over and over again that wasn't correct, right? He'd say, you're taking a picture of it. So immediately when I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, I'm taking a picture of it. And you keep it in your head, right? And you keep repeating it. Well, we have Caput Draconis, so we already talked about that in terms of the Geomancy rune for today, so there's a link there. So we're really talking about new beginnings and on the threshold of something new. So are we on the threshold of something new? I'll show you what that looks like here, to allow spirit to flow through our perceptions and our experiences today. Oh, well, where the heck are you? Oh, there it is. So that's what Caput Draconis looks like. Kata looks like that. Geomancy is interesting because realistically there's 16 runes, but really there's only 8 if you think in terms of the complement. You have 1 and then its opposite, or the complement of it. So you're basically seeing the wholeness of each concept, each of 8 concepts, right? So I just find that really interesting. But let's go ahead and see what we can find out from the cards. Maybe there's some information that it can sort of give us a little more information about what the new beginnings are all about, how spirit invokes into all of it. Or is it going to be spirit that invokes, or higher self that invokes these new beginnings that we have here? There's just been a lot of that lately in the esoteric influences for each week. That's just an aspect of things lately. I've already done them for the following week, so I think that there's a theme there that includes that as well. So let's take the first 3 cards and see if there's anything else we need to. Well, okay, I guess I answered my question. Here's the thing about major arcana cards. You basically got 3 sections, even though there's the major and minor arcana. There's really 3 groupings in tarot. You've got the major arcana, which are soul archetype cards. And then you've got the minor arcana, which includes both cards, the ace through the 10. And then you have the 4 court cards, pursuit. And court cards are interesting because they're either talking about the type of individual on the card, so a student, someone who's a little bit older with the knight, and then an older woman in authority with the queen, and an older man in authority with the king. So, or you're talking about the qualities that they have, right? With the wands being active and dynamic, swords being air element, and the mental issues, justice, balance, cutting through deception, water, which is emotions, that would be the cups, and understanding and empathy and all of that. Sometimes you can attribute intuition, but usually that's fire. So that would be the wand suit. And then earth, which would be pentacles. That's everything about your physicality, your work, your home, your tradition, security, money, all of that. So you can see how the court, with the court, depending on who you're talking about, which one of them you're talking about, it's going to reflect those attributes. But today we have the temperance, the emperor, and the world. So I'm wondering if maybe I want to put the emperor first and the temperance in the center. I think that might make a little more sense in terms of the reading, given that temperance is about balancing will with emotions. But we'll start with the emperor, the card 4 of the major arcana. And given that it is the soul archetype, these are all soul archetype cards, this is higher self coming in and saying, listen, these are the big things we need to be thinking about. So how do you see authority? How do you see the masculine side of self, if you will? The emperor can be the father aspect. He can be pragmatic. He can be about structure, stability, authority, order, ambition, and you can see the ram's head. So this is really a card of Aries. But it's almost like with the mountains behind, because that's what these look like. And I was going to look. It could be some kind of a wall, but it looks too odd to really simply be that. So, but basically we're talking strength. If they are mountain-like things, then we're talking strength. But we're also talking about the dark and the light within that whole process. So is he going to be really authoritarian? He's in battle attire still, even though he's covered by a red cloak. But red signifies energy. It signifies the fire element. And Aries is a fire element sign. So we're really looking at how we express authority. Are we going to express it in terms of higher self, or are we going to let ego take over and have it be, really authoritarian, right? In comes temperance, though. 14th card of the major arcana. So you're looking at 5 numerology, so change and protection, momentum. Here we see the sun rising between 2 peaks, so there's a sense of balance there. We see the road coming down, although it could be a dry creek bed. It just, I have a hard time interpreting that. Since it comes down to the water's edge, it just gives me the impression that it could be a channel for snow runoff or something to feed the pond. But for now, we'll just call it a path that's kind of a little bit windy, but not too much. There's water irises there. Right here. My husband just moved some down to our pond from our ditch. Oh, they're so pretty. They really are. They're delicate and they're small. A little smaller than normal irises, really. But here you see the angel, again with the red wings. And we see the glyph for fire on the angel's dress there. We see the earth element, though, because one foot's on the ground. Angels can represent also air in a sense, and so air could be coming in there as well. But with the sun, that's the fire element. Here you've got water. I just think that really, even though we're talking about balancing fire with water, so will with emotion, I think that realistically all elements are present in temperance. You see the rays of creation, or the rays of the creator extending from the angel's head there. And if you look very closely, there is the sun disk on like a headband that the angel's wearing. So realistically, a gift from the creator, learning how to balance will with emotion. And if you think about it, water quenches fire, doesn't it? And so, but at the same time, if you pour them back and forth, then will can affect the emotions to have a little more inner strength to overcome things that are emotional and upsetting. But at the same time, if you also look at it in terms of intuition with fire and empathy or empathic awareness with water, then it's also suggesting that you look within to find the truth that you're looking for, and to rely on intuition and empathic awareness. And again, we talked about empathic awareness today on the esoteric influence. It was basically the whole thing. The interactions that you have with others. If you're an empath, if you know you're an empath, it doesn't mean if you're not an empath that you don't experience this. All we are is energy that's infused into this congealed energy of the body, basically. So we're all just this energetic structure, right? Irrespective of which aspect you're talking about. Well, it extends out further in terms of the aura. Some say just a little ways, and some say a long ways. And I've read in some people, some theorists believe it can go as much as 25 feet diameter, you know. Uh, so I don't know. It seems like we're all overlapping our auras, in other words. And so if you are focusing your attention on someone else, you can send that energy to them, and maybe they become aware. Maybe it's like, what, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Well, it's because there's energy tapping you on the shoulder. So it may not be something, in other words, that's generated from you and your own emotions or your own thought processes or what have you. It could be energy that's coming in on you. And so the idea here is you want to, temperance could even reflect what I was talking about visualizing the energetic channels you've created with other people or that are coming in on you, and intending for them to dissolve so you can then shield yourself and have a little better control. Especially if you're feeling stressed out today. If there's really nothing that's making that happen in your life, then you have to consider that it's coming in from other people. That are focusing their attention on you. And because that's really all it takes. If we're energetic beings, you see, it's not about being in the same room with one another and directly interacting. That's not how that works. And so, in all likelihood, it could be coming from outside yourself. So just be aware of that. But again, in terms of the emperor, if you're talking about balancing will with emotion, then you're talking about balancing authority with compassion. Okay. Are you pushing your views on other people, or are you giving room for creating the space for other people to offer what they have to give as well? Are you compassionate? Are you feeling compassionate for what's going on in their lives? Are you trying to understand what it is, or are you trying to just tell them what to do? You know, it would suggest from a higher perspective that understanding and giving a listening ear might be more important. And that's where I think temperance comes in, balancing the will to, it's like the difference between listening to what someone is sharing with you and then trying to give them solutions that they really aren't asking for. They're just needing someone to listen to what's going on, you know. And then if they ask you for that, that's one thing. But otherwise, what we tend to do is cut them off and we start telling them what to do. Well, maybe that's not really what you should do today. So figuring out how the inner authority works in a way that actually is actually positive in your interactions with others, takes balancing essentially the fire element and the water element within will and emotions. Okay, and then we come full circle with the world. The world is it can indicate success, similar to the Wheel of Fortune, because we do that. I believe that's card 10 is it card 10 of the major arcana is the Wheel of Fortune. Well, here we have card 21. 21 reduces to 3. So you're talking creativity and optimism and all of that, but you're also talking mind, body, spirit balance, bringing everything into order, everything into balance. And here we have the woman in the center, nude. She's beginning anew. Again, Kappa Draconis could be part of that experience, because here you see the lemniscates here, both above and below, the figure eights, the ribbons that are in figure eights, that basically tie this garland. It ties together here at the top. You can kind of see the two little tabs there. You don't see that below. So obviously they've taken and they've brought it up and they've tied it together. They've got the lemniscates there, showing the cyclical nature of things. You see the hermetic glyphs for air, fire, water, and earth in the corners. Different than the alchemical ones. But you see the woman is holding two wands, one in each hand, because she's ready to still manifest her world, even though there's completion, synthesis, reward. It's the last card of the major arcana, and so you've got all of these things that you need to be thinking about while you're focused into form, and you end with the world, you know, at the final thing where everything comes full circle. So I think that we're really working in astral energies today, evidently. I mean, that's true for the esoteric influences. And I wrote those last week. So, you know, I got that done probably midweek last week. So it doesn't really, I mean, it has a connection to the reading, but not directly in terms of I just did it. You know, I just made it up right this second. That was written last week. So it's kind of interesting that we're really dealing in higher self energies here today, especially with I was and the beginning of something new. Maybe it's a beginning of that awareness to understand that things are not always about the reactive ego, although that tends to be where we live. But instead, I think that it's more about, you know, this is a time to recognize the flow of spirit into our awareness, that's really who we are. And we probably need to start thinking in terms of that instead of constantly reacting to every little thing that goes on in our lives. Try to understand the bigger picture of things. It doesn't mean that there isn't an issue that you need to deal with. It doesn't negate that at all. It just gives you a little bit different perspective. Understand the wholeness of things, maybe. And I mean, certainly the card of temperance really seems to suggest that, because I really do see all four elements in there, and understanding how everything needs to be brought into balance. With the 21 energy here, the 3 energy that it reduces to, we're talking about that whole type of balance. Bringing a balance between spirit and ego, and having the mind process that. You know, the body would be the ego side of things, and of course spirit is higher self. The mind is just simply a vessel. You know, it's whether ego is putting the information into it or spirit is putting the information into it as to how things are going to go that particular moment. And I think that what this reading is suggesting is that we need to be thinking about that in a different way. Let's see. So 5 and 3 is 8, and 4 is 12. Again, it brings it back down to 3. So again, I think that numerologically for the whole reading, we're looking at a 3 energy. So again, mind, body, spirit balance. What is going to inform the mind? Is it going to be higher awareness, or is it going to be the body or the ego? And the lower vibrational stuff that really doesn't get us where we need to go. Maybe we could look at it that way. Well, that's kind of interesting. I mean, that really dovetailed, didn't it, with the esoteric influences and what empathic awareness is all about. Again, you don't have to identify as an empath to feel that. We all do. It's just for some people, it's just a little more present in their lives, and they're more aware of it, maybe more affected by it. You know, if you're affected by people's emotions all the time, then if it gets your emotions all in an uproar, if someone's upset, you know, and you start responding in kind, you're really you're absorbing that energy that's coming off of them, and it's affecting your ability to stay level. If you find when you go into grocery stores, big grocery stores, and you get uncomfortable, you get upset, you get nervous or whatever, you're picking up on the energies around you. And I would just argue that most people are like that. It's just whether or not they've learned to acknowledge it for what it is. and so just be aware of it the next time, you know, you're around a lot of people, or you're by yourself and suddenly you start feeling upset for no reason. Check in and says, is there something going on? Are my thoughts taking me there? You know, am I thinking about something that's upsetting me, or am I not? Is it just there out of the blue? I mean, it'll happen to me anywhere. It just out of the blue. Suddenly I'm just overwhelmed with emotion, and with you know, feeling uncomfortable, and I've just learned that that's something coming in, and either needing something from me, or something, you know. And generally speaking, I just try to shield a bit, and kind of draw in my emotions, just let intend for everything else to dissolve and start again, you know. And just try to understand what's going on. If it's something that but trust me, I can get myself upset, so I know when I'm doing it, and but not everybody pays attention like that. They're busy. They're doing other things. They've got kids. They've got stuff going on, and they're focused on that. And they don't have time to take that time and go within and think about what's going on. They just deal with it at the moment, right? And I think that this reading is just talking about, you know, how you got to look within a little bit more and figure out how you process, at least in this case, will with emotions. And are you exercising will in a way that acknowledges compassion and understanding and awareness of the bigger picture involved, or are you simply just judging things and going from there? So I know we've all done that, and I know you know what I'm talking about here. It's just something that's part of the human condition. The problem is we're really not that. We are souls that are having this experience, and so we need to start acknowledging that. So anyway, that's all. I love when things dovetail together, don't you? It's just cool. It's like, okay, if there's that much, you know, connectivity, then maybe this is something that we need to be paying attention to. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good week, and you know, hopefully my garden will start to grow a little bit. I don't know. It's just not getting enough sun, so, and enough heat, but it's starting. We'll see if it continues. And I mean, I'm glad we're not having 90-degree days like we did last year at this time. That was rough. So anyway, if we move into it slowly, just maybe a little more quickly, my garden would appreciate it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by. And again, click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and come back and spend this time with us on Mondays and Thursdays. And, you know, be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Blessed be.